Lastly, to review. In our last video, we left off on a working app. In fact, I will put it back to it working. And if we reload things, everything works. However, what if you make a mistake? What if an API key is wrong? For example, here I'm going to misspell the endpoint, the API endpoint, and instead of it being spoonacular, I'll name it spoonacular. And rerun this and run it again. Oops, we have some sort of an error. All right, I'll take this away. And what if I have a wrong API key? Let's add in a bunch of Y's here. All right, what happens now? Let's rerun this. Okay, we have another error. All right, remember something about error handling. Error handling is hard, but it's important. So how about we anticipate an error? How about we anticipate an error here and try to see what we can do for this app to handle a specific error, because maybe I want this to show an error here when something goes wrong. Remember the try catch blocks? Yep, this is where they're going to be very important. So how about the following? I'm going to wrap this code into a try block. And I'm going to catch an error. All right. So what do I want to do in an error? Well, first of all, again, I want to clear the div because I want to show the error, right? So I'm going to say, okay, display div. Oops. So our display div is what? Our display div is the main div here that is showing the content. So it's going to be empty, right? And I will set the header element. And I'll say, okay, well, what do I want to do here? Set the new div and the header to not show the recipe, but to show the error. However, if I say h3 dot something, that's not good, right? Because why? Because this is scoped to this try block. So I'm going to do the following. I'm going to move them out of the try catch block. So now both of these can be used either within a try block or within the catch block. So let's have it at that. So I'll say h3 dot in the HTML is, I don't know, I'll just say error. I'll put errors in the HTML. And let's see what the error is before we even do anything else here. So let's console log error, not even that, let's console log just error. And let's have it here, and then let's see what we got. Right, actually I need to generate an error. Let's make it a bad API key. Good. Okay, good. We have a message, a responsive message from Axios, because we console logging the error. And we have a error, something, Axios request failed. We have an error that responds. we have a whole object. Response.data, you are not authorized, something, something. Good. Axios is telling us exactly what we need to know. Axios is telling us, the programmer, exactly what we need to know. It's giving this error to the console for us. However, what happens if you don't have a console, right? Because when you're using an application, you probably don't have a console open, right? So your application looks something like this, right? And you click this, click this, click this. Oh, nothing happens. And you're thinking, nothing is really happening. Nothing is really happening. Why is nothing happening? You as a user who doesn't know anything about programming are thinking, okay, is this working? Is this not working? What is going on? I'm not getting an error. Nothing is going on. Well, actually, you are getting error in the console. However, most users, no users use the console to look for errors. They expect an error to pop up here. So let's see what it does for us. Let's see how we can show this error, because we now know that we have an error object, right? We have this error object here. We have a response. We have a data. We have a message and whatnot. So let's grab this. So we will again do a inner HTML for the header, but we'll set it as an error, and then we will append this error to the display div. And then we will append child h3. So we'll append this header element, and we also want to show the error text from the API response. Would make sense, right? I want to show the error text and so the user knows what's going on. So the new div is going to be equal to, and now how do we get this, right? Again, working with objects, JavaScript basics. We go back here, we have the error dot response dot data dot message. We go down by the error object, error dot response dot data dot message. Response dot data dot message, and then we also append this. So we append this to the display div. Append child, and then that's gonna be what? It's gonna be the new div, exactly. And that should be it for now. At least that should show our error. So if everything's alright, this will run. If an error happens, this will run. Alright, so let's see what happens. Let's do that. Oh look, error, you're not authorized. Please read this Spoonacular API something something authentication. Makes sense? Makes sense. So I also have this is in the starter code. There's a error response specific color for an error, so we can make it prettier. We can go in here and say, all right, well, we also want to add this class for the header. And I want to add this error response class, which will make everything red. Again, spelling matters. Everything matters. Spelling, cases, spaces, everything. And then also in a new div, class list, add, and then also error response. There we go. And we have that. So let's save that. Let's rerun this. And let's try to generate a recipe with a bad API key. Bad API key. Oh, look, error. You're not authorized. Please read this here. Something like that. Makes sense for us. If we send in the correct API key and we run this, we get a recipe. Great. So now we've handled an error, a possible error, one of the many possibilities. And that's all it is to it. Now, in the solution code, you will see a couple of different ways to handle this. So you see a generate recipe without an error handling, with an error handling, with this async await syntax, and with the promises syntax as well. So this should set you up for the next project, which should be a breeze at this point. And that's it. That's all there is to it.